All right, so the first one was question from a viewer. I'm not seeing my syndication network posts being indexed. How can I get them indexed? And that's a good question. Typically, we don't worry about the Web 2 posts being indexed because whether they get indexed or not, Google will likely crawl them and see them anyways. And sometimes they will be indexed, but it's not something I ever sweat or worry about trying to force the indexing of those posts. And the reason why is because if your website that you're blogging from, right, so that's the one you're essentially building links to through your syndicated posts, if it's connected to Search Console, Google Search Console, and you go in and you take a look at the links to my site, you'll see WordPress.com and Tumblr and Blogger and all the bookmarking sites. You'll see all the links pointing back to your site. Whether they're in the index or not, it really makes no difference because Google's telling you from Search Console that the links are indeed there and they're aware of them. So that's why I never worry about indexing, and that's why we didn't spend a lot of time covering it. There were some things that we did in the past that would automate scraping those URLs from the Web 2 posts and sending them to an indexer, but unfortunately the plugins that did that stopped working. Stopped being developed. They stopped supporting them, and we never found a really suitable alternative. Now, that said, there is a training in the update section of Syndication Academy that talks about how you can use an applet to automatically extract the Web 2 post URLs and feed them into a Google Sheet, and then you can build links to a Google Sheet, which could be used as an indexing tool. And that was covered in the Syndication Academy update webinars. Just go back through your webinar update webinar archives, and you should be able to locate that if you're insistent upon getting them to index. But again, your time, in my opinion, should be spent elsewhere because Google will crawl those sites and they will recognize those links, whether it indexes them or not. And that's all that matters is that Google sees them. Just to prove it, Hernan and we have tested no index PBNs in the past. Now, we don't recommend, PBNs isn't something we teach. Do they still work? Yeah. But it's not something we teach. But we have even tested no index PBNs, and they absolutely work. Because as long as Google knows the link's there, no index just means they don't put it in their index. It doesn't mean they're not aware of the link and they're not counting the link equity too.
Right. Yeah, there were no index to follow PBN. So as long as you have that tag there, no index to follow. Some Web 2.0 websites and social networks that we post out with Syndication Academy, they will have no index to follow.
Medium is one of those, unless you have a paid account.
Yeah, they have no index to follow, so you cannot index that, but that doesn't mean that the links do not count. So we do that for traffic purposes as well. You will see a lot of people coming through the RSS feed, to the website, so that's cool. And but yeah, they definitely count towards the authority of the website.
So make sure we get this clip sent to the guy that asked that in support.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Cool.
All right, so that was a good question.